What's up, everybody? Rob Ferretti here with two arguably awesome Porsches, GT3 RS, GT4. GT4 is here for storage, and this is Shavam's car. But today I'm going to talk about my GT3, which is no longer with us. I sold it, and we're going to talk about, obviously from the title, the cost of ownership, which is, depends how you look at it and depends how crazy you want to get. I either made money, lost a little bit of money, whatever it was. Blissful ownership experience cost me very little and actually cost me less to own for 2 years than my Chevy Volt. Think about that. So, starting at the beginning, when I got the car, I did a pre-purchase inspection. Now the car was delivered, the sales guy brought the car to my house, so I was able to see the car without even if you want to get into opportunity cost. Brought it to my house, I checked it out, I agreed to buy it. I did a PPI on it, which is a pre-purchase inspection. I recommend everyone do it. That costs $300. After that, I purchased it. Tax and registration, $270. Why is tax so cheap? Simple answer is I sold my Viper through the same dealer that sold me the GT3. The state gives you a tax credit, and there was only $1,000 difference between what I sold the Viper for and what it cost me to buy the GT3. So I only had to pay tax on that $1,000. That's why 70 bucks. And registration, that was the 200. That equals the 270. Started driving the car a little bit. It was the winter time. It was like first week of January. Made some squeaks and rattles. I'm like, oh, what is that? There's got to be something wrong. I want to go get this thing taken care of. Brought it to the dealership, and it cost me $534 for them to say, we can't figure it out, we've got to dig a little deeper, we've got about $500 worth of labor into it, do you want us to do that? And I said, no, you know what, let me go on the forums and ask around. Everyone's like, that's normal, all of them do it, like there's no issue. So I was sort of annoyed that the dealer didn't tell me that in advance, and they didn't know that, and they were going to just waste my money chasing these squeaks and rattles. But ultimately, it's money I spent that I learned a lesson for $534. After that, I did an oil change, but I also noticed that there was fluid leaking on the floor. And just a little bit, nothing major. That was presumed to be a rear main seal. It was actually something else leaking. The rear main seal was changed by the prior guy within the last 6,000 miles, but within the last year. So it was covered under warranty. I was like, oh, cool, they get to replace it under warranty. It's not going to cost anything. It's never that lucky. It ended up costing me $2,368 to fix that oil leak, which had nothing to do with me. I bought it like that. It wasn't really picked up. It was picked up. It was actually, I take that back. It was picked up in the PPI that there was a slight oil seep. I wanted to get it fixed. The fact that I did an oil change just prior to that, because before I got that oil leak fixed, I was going down to PBIR, Palm Beach International Raceway. I spent $338 to have the dealer change the oil on the car before I brought it down to the raceway, and then ultimately the oil was changed again after I got back because they fixed the oil leak. I had to change the tires, and I didn't really have to change the tires. I was taking it on adventure drives, and I wanted a fresh set of rubbers on it. That cost me $1,400 bucks. All of these, you're doing the math. That's $5,300 right there. Now, I said I'm getting into all of this. The interest on the loan, I took a $50,000 loan on the car. Money was cheap for the past couple of years. 2.49% through PenFed for a used car loan. PenFed.org, great company if you haven't worked with them. It cost me $2,700 in interest to carry the $50,000 for 2 years, which is very cheap, by the way. That's like, if you put that in credit card terms, if you had a $50,000 credit card balance, it's probably 2 months worth of interest. So keep that in mind. And then insurance, which I don't know if it's fair to count insurance because I've got to do insurance regardless of what the car is, and same with the interest on the loan. The insurance cost was $1,700 for 2 years. Excuse me. Assuming that I've got a lot more cars than you think that sounds very cheap, but I have a lot of cars, so I pay $12,000 or $15,000 a year in insurance for all of them. But what broke down onto my GT3 was just $1,700. Now, you can get crazy. You can start talking about the opportunity cost of what I could have done with the money, et cetera, et cetera. That's all out of this equation. We're just talking about hard costs to own the car. The fact that I bought this car versus another car, these are the costs that it cost me to have. I didn't have clutch, I didn't have brakes, I didn't have anything else. I guess it's coming due on another oil change now. It's 10,000 miles that I put on it in the 2 years. Transport to and from adventure drives and all these different trips that I did with the car isn't factored into this. Fuel is not factored into it. And then the things that you guys will pick up on, I didn't factor in the cost of the radio swap because I didn't have to do that. That was purely optional. And Technique One did the swap for free on that. The radio was like $250 on Amazon, if you care. Car washes don't get factored in. I mean, we're really talking like, I'm looking for the guy, I'm thinking ahead to the comment section. Like, I know you put gas in the car. Yes, it cost me money to fuel up the car for the 10,000 miles. I think the average gas mileage was around 20 miles per gallon, give or take 19 to 21, somewhere in there. So when you factor that in at 10,000 miles, it really wasn't very expensive to put gas in the car either. 20, that's what, 500 gallons of gas at an average of, let's just say $3 a gallon, it's $1,500 in gas. And then the exhaust swaps. I didn't count any of the multiple exhaust swaps, which were silly and optional. But if you total that up, that was about $1,200 in labor going back and forth, and then the exhaust cost me $900, which I sold again for $900, and then the other exhaust cost me about $500 for the race exhaust. Ultimately, what is this? Where does this all fall in? If you factor just the costs of the car, and I could have done some of these cheaper, to be fair. I didn't have to spend the money on the squeaks. I'll always spend the money on the PPI. Tax and registration you got to pay for. The oil change that I sort of did twice. The oil leak wasn't really on me. The tires you have to do. All of that stuff came to $5,300. Even the oil leaks to fix, I did it through the dealer, and I could have gotten it done cheaper through a third party, an independent guy. I just rather get it done at the dealer at the time. I don't know why. It's just one of those like weird psychological things with exotic car owners. They like to see stuff done at the dealer. Whether or not the guy who used to work at the dealership is the independent, or the guy who works at the dealer wrenching on your cars on his first day on the job right out of ITT Tech, I don't know. If you pull the interest out of the loan, the $2,700 that I didn't really have to spend, that brings me down to $7,000. And then the insurance cost, which I have to pay regardless, you're at $5,300. So ultimately, I mean, no matter, even worst case scenario, when you factor all in, it costs me just under $5,000 a year to have the GT3 hard costs. Then the kicker, I sold the car for $6,000, and I also left money on the table there. I sold the car for $6,000 more than I paid for it. So, I mean, you run these numbers 6 ways from Sunday, even worst case scenario, it cost me $4,000, or $3,700 to be exact, and that's everything, $3,700 to own a Porsche GT3 for 2 years. It costs more for me to rent my Chevy Volt, which is a great bargain at $270 some odd a month, but it was cheaper to own my GT3 in the long run. Ultimately, not everybody's going to work out, not every car purchase is going to work out like that. Some of them work out like that well, some of them don't. Anytime you can own a car and essentially the cost of ownership is less than $5,000 a year, you are home run. Like a sports car for under $5,000 a year, you guys are doing great when you factor in maintenance and everything else. I'm happy. It was a great car. I'm excited for the next one. I thank you guys for watching. I hope that answers the question. I hope I was thorough enough and not too thorough to explain what the actual cost of ownership was for me. Is that the same for everybody else? No, but that's what it cost me to own a GT3 for 2 years. Not bad for a 10-year-old car. Thanks for making it through the whole video. I appreciate it. If you like what you saw, like below, comment below. Those both help my videos go up in rankings, and that helps me out. So thank you for that. If you don't enjoy it, don't say anything. But since YouTube does its own things in the end here, I have 20 seconds in which to do that. And that's going to stop right now.